Hey Guitar fam and friends, welcome to this easy song lesson where we're going to take a look at the Steelers Wheel song Stuck in the Middle. This one's pretty easy to get right into if you want to keep it simple, but there are some more nuanced things that I'll show you throughout this lesson. If you want to see a full performance of this lesson, just skip to the end of the video where you can watch me play through the whole thing with the chord chart going by. And if you need to download the chord chart and the full jam track that we have for you, the links for that on the Guitar Fam website are below for you. All right, let's get into the chords for this one. It's going to be pretty easy. They're just a handful of open chords, no bar chords, so that's great for you. We're in the key of D major. So here's actually the key of D for you first. D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor, and C sharp diminished. The chords that we need are D major, just regular open D. There's a G, and you can use either the 4-finger or the 3-finger, whichever finger you want. We're going to need an A major, the A minor 7, and a C major. Now, I do sometimes use a G7, just because I like the way it sounds on some parts, but you can either use the G7 or just use a regular G, either one will work. Also, sometimes I'll use the A7, but I mostly stick to the A, either one will work. Okay, you probably noticed that two of those chords don't fit the key of D major. The first one that doesn't fit is a C major. The 7th scale degree for the key of D major is a C sharp, and you would have a C sharp diminished for that chord. In this case, the way I like to think about this chord is just go one whole step below the root note, or the tonic, which is a D in this case. Go a whole step below that, which is a C, and then slap a major chord on it. And that's a really common non-diatonic chord that you're going to run into a lot. The second chord that doesn't quite fit the key of D major is the A minor 7. Now, an A major that we use, that fits the key. It's the 5 chord, D, E, F sharp, G, A, and that works. But we have an A minor 7, and that's just something to be aware of, that that's another non-diatonic chord we're using. Really, the chord that's used sounds like it's just like a C over D, but the A minor 7 works just as good, and it's easier to play, keeping this one simple for an easy song lesson, right? One other thing I'll mention to you now that we've covered the chords that are used here is there's some funny stuff going on in this song. There's a 12-string guitar, and there's some alternate tunings going on, but I wanted to keep this as simple as possible, just so you could jump right in with just a handful of open chords and play through the song. Let's go ahead and go through the strumming patterns you're going to need to get through this song. There's really only one, and then you can modify it depending on how advanced you want to get with the strumming. The strumming pattern, just put a D major chord on, is just a straight 8-note strumming pattern. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so you can get through the entire song playing just that strumming pattern, just straight 8 notes alternating downs and ups. Okay, but the other strumming pattern that comes in a lot that you should, this is a good opportunity to work on this specific technique, uses muted strums with a lot of your downstrokes there. So one thing you're going to have to do and get down before you can play a strumming pattern is just the ability to strum through all your strings in a chord. Like I'm on the D chord, I'm leaving out the low E and A strings, and I'm just strumming the D, G, B, and high E strings and muting them at the same time. So the palm of my hand right here hits the strings right and mutes them right before my pick goes through to get a really nice kind of snare sound. And the strumming pattern doesn't change. We just throw in some downstroke muted strums on specific numbers, and those numbers are on 2, 3, and 4. So every number besides 1. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that's the entire strumming pattern. So if you're new to this, take a couple days or a couple weeks and get used to doing this muted strum, because you have to have that really nice and crisp to make the strumming pattern sound right. And then put it with the strumming pattern 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay? And as soon as I speed this up, you're going to recognize it from the song. Okay, so that's the main strumming pattern. That one, and it's just a straight 8-note strumming pattern. Those are the two that you need to be able to play through the song. And if you're new to that downstroke muted strum stuff, you don't have to play it right away. Just look at it as something like a new skill to learn. 1, 2, 3, 4. And another thing you'll notice is that I'm accenting the one of each measure quite heavily, just because that's the way it's played in the recording. All right, I want to show you the little riff at the intro of this song. You don't have to play this. This goes a little bit beyond the scope of an easy song lesson, but I wanted to include it in here just so you can play it if you want to. Let me show you the fingerings for the shapes we're going to be using real quick, and then I'll show you the strumming. So 7th fret of the G and B strings with 2nd and 3rd fingers, and then the open D string too. Those are the only strings you're going to be playing, is the D, G, and B strings for this little opening riff. And it's just a little 2-measure strumming riff that you play twice for the intro. So you play the open D string and then all 3 strings, and then this shape you're just going to move down to where these 2 fingers are on the 5th fret of the G and B. And then the next shape, middle finger goes on the 4th fret of the G, index finger goes on the 3rd fret of the B, and then move that shape down to where your 2nd finger is on the 2nd fret of the G and your 1st finger is on the 1st fret of the B string. So there are only 2 shapes. This one, move it back, and then move it back to the new shape, and then move that shape down 2 frets. So I would really recommend just getting those shapes down and being able to move through them. And then you can put the strumming with it. And again, we're only hitting the D, G, and B strings here for this whole thing. All right, now that you know where to put your fingers for the shapes, let me show you the strumming for this little intro riff. Just play an 8th note downstroke on just the D string, and then an upstroke 8th note on all 3 strings, the D, G, and B strings. And then another downstroke. The next one is a quarter note though, so you have 1 and 2 and move down to the next shape, 5th fret there, downstroke for an 8th note, then move down to your next shape, upstroke for a quarter note, and then move down to the next shape with an upstroke on the end of 4 that's tied to an 8th note on the 1 of the next measure. And then you have an 8th note upstroke, and then a downstroke quarter note, and then you hit all 3 of those strings open with an 8th note, down, and then back onto the last shape that you did with 2 8th notes, and then an upstroke with all 3 open strings. So it's a little bit convoluted. Follow the tab if you want to get it down really mechanically, but just listen to the recording and listen to it right here, and you'll be able to do it kind of intuitively. Here you go. One more time, a little slower. And then from there, you just repeat it again and come back up here and start it over. And that's it. Let me play it up to speed so you can get a feel for it. And you can choose to play that, or just wait till the full band comes in if you want to keep it really simple for this song. And after that little intro riff, those 4 measures, you have what I call the interlude. And anytime you hear me refer to the interlude in the song, all it is 4 measures of a D chord with your standard 8th note muted strumming pattern that we went over. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so anytime you hear me refer to the interlude on the song, it's just those 4 measures of a D chord. After that, we're going to go into verse 1, which also starts with 4 measures of D. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3. 1, 2. Okay, after that, you go to a G major for 2 measures and keep that same muted strumming pattern going. 1 and 2 and 3. And to wrap up this verse, just play 2 more measures of D. 1 and 2 and 2 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 2. And for any of the verses in the song, this is going to be the format for all the verses. So 4 measures of D, 2 measures of G, 2 measures of D. I'll play the whole thing for you without stopping. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll probably notice that I stuck a G7 chord in there for the second measure of G. You can stay on a regular G major chord for both measures. You could do a G for the first measure of G and then a G7 for the second measure. Or you can do G7 for both measures of G. It doesn't really matter. It's just something stylistically that I like to throw in there. Okay, after verse 1 comes chorus 1, and this is where things change a little bit for the strumming. We open the strumming pattern up to change the energy of the song and just do an unmuted straight 8th note strumming pattern, and we have an A for 1 measure, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we have C for 2 beats of the next measure, 1 and 2 and then for beats 3 and 4 we have a G, 3 and 4 and. Okay, so those 2 measures, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then to finish off the chorus, we have just 2 measures of D with our muted strumming pattern. 1 and 2 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4. So anytime you see a chorus, it doesn't matter which one there. I think there are like 5 choruses in this song. That's going to be your chord progression. A for measure, a measure that's split between C for 2 beats and G for 2 beats, and then 2 measures of D. So let me play that whole chorus for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, after verse 1 and chorus 1, you have verse 2 and chorus 2, which is the exact same thing as verse 1 and chorus 1, so that's great. After that, you come to the last part of the song that we need to memorize, and that's just what I call the bridge, and it starts off with 2 measures of a G chord, unmuted, so just straight 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then you have 2 measures of a D chord with a muted strumming pattern, 1 and 2 and 3. From there, go back to a G major for 2 more measures, unmuted, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then you have a really kind of different part of the song where everything comes way down and you just play a D for 2 full measures and hold that D chord out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is where the A minor 7 comes in. For the next 2 measures, do the same thing. Just 1 strum for 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this chord is kind of weird because there's, like I mentioned, there's some 12 string and some alternate tuning, or guitars with alternate tuning. So you can either play this A minor 7 or this would be kind of a C with a D in the bass. Either one works. The A minor 7 is probably the most appropriate for this lesson, for this easy song lesson. So just hold that A minor 7 out for 2 measures. So let me play this whole bridge for you. It's 2 measures of G, 2 measures of D, 2 measures of G, 2 measures of D, just hold out, and then 2 measures of A minor 7. Here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Two, three, four, A minor 7, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is the end of the bridge. Okay, that's all the parts of the song. Work on those individually, and then you'll be ready to put everything together. Let me walk you through the actual layout for this tune real quick. So you start off with the little intro riff, which is just a 2-measure riff that we learned, and you do that twice for a total of 4 measures. From there, you have the interlude, which is just those 4 measures of a D chord. Then you have verse 1, which is just 4 measures of D, 2 measures of G, 2 measures of D, and that's the format for every verse. And then you have the chorus 1, which is just a measure of A, a measure that's split between a C and a G, and then 2 measures of D. And that's the format for every chorus you're going to have. After that, you have verse 2, chorus 2, then the bridge. And every bridge, I believe it appears twice in the song, every bridge is 2 measures of G, 2 measures of D, 2 measures of G, 2 measures of D, and 2 measures of A minor 7. After that, you have the interlude, those 4 measures of D. Then you have verse 3, chorus 3, and then you have verse 4 and chorus 4, which is just the guitar solo, but the format doesn't change there. After that, you have bridge 2, same as bridge 1. Then after that, you have an interlude again, so 4 measures of D, verse 5, chorus 5, and then an outro, which is just 6 measures of D. And then on the 7th measure of D, you just go 1, 2, and finish the song. So that outro is the only part that we really haven't gone over, but really all it is 6 measures of that muted strum with the D chord. So 1, 2, 3. And on the 7th measure, do that bum, bum, and that'll end the song. So this is a great, easy song to just jump into and play through the entire song. You don't have to do the fancy intro or the muted strumming pattern. You can get through the whole thing with just a handful of open chords and a straight 8th note strumming pattern. All you have to do is memorize the chord progressions and the layout of the song. But I would encourage you to take this as an opportunity to work on your muted strums, because it's a great tool to give your strumming a lot more life. And it's one thing that's covered in the new upcoming Guitar Fam course. It's called the Strumming Doctor, and the first module is going to be free for everyone who has a complimentary Guitar Fam account. So go check that out. It covers things like muted strums, timing, being able to figure out strumming patterns on your own by ear, pretty much anything that you're struggling with as far as strumming goes. Okay, here's the full playthrough for this song. Don't forget the chord chart with the tab and the MP3 jam track for you are available on guitarfam.com. The link is below. Let us know if you have any questions about the song or any requests for easy song lessons you may have in the future. See you.